Hello, welcome back. It's pproteus here, back for another Pauper challenge. I know I've been gone for a little while, but I've heard from a few of you that you miss my videos, so I'm gonna try to make a few more. So I'm gonna be playing Inside Out today, which is a fairly stock list. I'm playing 4 augurs, but I think 4 augurs is just correct because auger's great. I've got 1 dispel, 1 dive down, 1 giga drowse, 1 piracy charm in the main. And sideboard, I've got the arrows and geists for the fairy matchups, and some lone missionaries. I think are the only exciting cards there. So without further ado, let's jump into the game, and let's decide what to do. So this hand, this is the downside to Ash Barrens. Ash Barrens is in every other situation almost strictly better than Evolving Wilds, but in this one it is worse, because I cannot play this as a land on turn 1 unless I have another land. So I'm kind of tempted to keep this and then just go probe, and hope I hit an untapped land, but that sounds kind of risky. There's too many ways for that to go wrong. So I'm going to mull, and this 6-card hand seems fine, even though it's got some issues. It seems fine. And I will start off with a probe, because I want to see what my opponent's doing, and I also want to see what's on top of my deck so that I get to make some good decisions. This hand doesn't really do very much, and so I am a little concerned that I haven't drawn into relevant kind of combo pieces, or even just ponders and preordains. But 3 lands is the right number, and Giga Drowse hopefully won't be dead. So, see, we're playing against Tron, and Tron is a pretty good matchup, and my opponent seems to have bad hand, so they kept 7, but they kept a 7-card hand that can only cast 1 spell, the Condescend. So I'm feeling quite favored at this point, and Augur Bolas is a fine thing to be casting, so I will do that. So I'll just ship it over to my opponent. I will keep this pile of cards open so that I can check them off as they play them. And I'm going to hold on to this probe for a little while. Well, there is a reason to try to play it here. And the reason to play it here is so that I can potentially find a tribe. But I believe that's just not very likely. So I should probably just play the augur and see what I hit. Of course, I've hit nothing now, so maybe not the most lucky turn of events. But my life total doesn't matter, so I can just pay life for this anytime. My opponent doesn't seem to have any blockers, like, ever. So while I really do just want to hit combo pieces, I'm not really concerned. Okay, so we're doing this again. So my opponent has 2 more lands, including a Tron piece they didn't have before. And then that's it for the cards they didn't know about. So, gonna ponder. Gonna not run into their Condescend. If they want to Condescend for 1 to scry 2, then that's fine. But that's the best they're going to get. I'm going to put all these on top because Tireless Tribe, of course, is exactly the thing I was looking for. So not shuffling. I'm going to play the island to play around Condescend, because I am going to cast the tribe here. And then in order to win the game, I need to cast Inside Out and resolve it, and then discard 5 cards. And that may be slightly challenging because I only have 4 cards in my hand after my draw step. Only 3 if I have to cast the Giga Drowse first. So I may have to wait 1 turn just to make sure I can get it in my attack. So after my attack, then I'll only have to discard 4 cards to the tribe because they'll be at 17. Okay, opponent is, this appears to be them tapping out. Them tapping out is good for me. Them cycling their land when they only have 4 lands total is also kind of good for me, honestly. Okay, I had not seen that one. So I'm tempted to Shadow Rift here, and the reason I would do that is because I win the game if I find a gush. So I want to dig as deep as I can. And this doesn't cost me a card to play, and they're not likely to play a creature anytime soon. So let's do that. Let's put it in. Again, if I find Gush, the game is just over. So that's my 100% my top goal. Nothing. So I'm going to make the attack. And I could play a land to try to Giga Drowse for 2. And of course, there's going to be the issue that they can then condescend for 3 on their turn. But I only have to discard 4 cards. So I think what I do is I Giga Drowse. Oh shoot. This isn't going to work, is it? Alright, I think I have to just pass. If my opponent taps any mana, then I get to kill them. But if they hold up Condescend for 2, or for 3 rather, I can't interfere with that by casting Giga Drowse. So I will do nothing and just draw my card and pass. So you know I can Giga Drowse, tap this, but they can still make blue mana with the Prism. If I had played this other land, then I could Giga Drowse, but then I'd only have 3 cards in my hand, which would not be enough for me to win the game there. So I'm going to make my attack first, because I'm just not going to have the 3 mana to pay. I think, so if I discard 4 cards, I win. So I want to, it's okay if I play a land, so land and the Giga Drowse out of my hand, and then whenever I draw, the Inside Out replaces itself, so I don't have to count that one. So I think I play the 1 land here. They're going to cast Teachings, and whatever they find off this Teaching better be good. Maybe a Doomblade, but they don't know, honestly, that I don't have... Yeah, I guess I could be in trouble, actually, if they just go for a Doomblade. But, yeah, for all I know, they don't have that. So if they're fetching Moment's Peace, that is a lot of mana they have, but none of it is colored. Uh-oh. Alright. That was a Muldrifter. Just no Doomblade, please. Alright, and your opponent has killed themselves. So I get to Giga Drowse, tapping Prophetic Prism and Muldrifter. And I'm going to replicate twice, so I'm going to have 3 total copies of this. Because what I don't want them doing is I don't want them condescending... Like, I don't want them to use the blue mana from the Prophetic Prism and counter the one on the Muldrifter, because I need the Muldrifter to not be blocking. So I'm going to Giga Drowse, replicate twice. Okay, blue, blue, blue. Here it comes. So I have this one on the Muldrifter. There's going to be another one on the Prophetic Prism. I'm hoping my opponent doesn't have some free or colorless instant, so I'll lose to Gut Shot. But it's not often you can just beat main deck Gut Shot. Especially, it would be a top deck main deck Gut Shot at this point. So one's going to target the Prophetic Prism. The other one's just going to target the Muldrifter. They only have 1 colored mana. So that's going to be tapped. They won't be able to cast Moment's Peace, won't be able to cast Condescend unless they do it now. So if I get some choices on my turn, I will attempt to use the choices to save me from Gut Shot. Because it's not like the most unlikely thing in the world for somebody to play a Gut Shot main deck, but I'm not going to not go off if I don't find an out to Gut Shot. But I will try to not lose to it. So, my turn. I can't play a land. I don't have to worry about days. I will cast Inside Out on the Tribe. Perhaps this is a little loose if I think my opponent actually has Gut Shot, but I'm wondering if there's something I haven't seen. I will cast the second one just to see if I can find a probe or gush. Yeah, there we go. Gush. Okay. So I've got 4. I have to discard 3 cards now. That's not going to do very much. Okay, so opponent doesn't block. I have 4, 8, 12, and 16. Take 16. Got there. So we're playing against Dinrova Tron. Dinrova Tron is honestly one of my best matchups. It's almost a free win. Not quite, because there are some things that they can side in, like Coalition Honor Guard, that can steal games, which is in fact what happened to me the last challenge. So I want to make sure I have answers to things. So I'm going to side out Piracy Charm, because that card doesn't do much in this matchup. And I'm going to side in... what do I side in? A Fragmentize, maybe? Maybe a Dispel? Fragmentize, because if they resolve with Serrated Arrows, I may be able to win, but I can also kind of cheese them and Fragmentize their turn 1 map. I'm trying to decide if Dive Down is an acceptable card in my deck or not. I could side that out. It might be functional versus, say, Dinrova Horror, if that comes down, or versus something like Gutshot. And the thing it's competing with is Dispel, whether I would want to side out 1 Shadow Rift or 1 Dive Down to bring in a Dispel. And my opponent didn't demonstrate a lot of cards that are good against either, honestly. They clearly don't have a lot of blockers, so actually I think I'm just going to take out a Shadow Rift. And I can change my mind later if they demonstrate that they don't have, like if they win in a long game and they demonstrate they don't have a lot of good things to Dive Down, or I mean to use Dive Down against, then I will make the change back, because Shadow Rift does have the ability that it can cycle. Not trivial. As you saw in the first game, right? I was able to cycle it, and then I found my gush on my last card, which could have possibly been important if my opponent had had a gut shot, although I guess technically that's quite unlikely. And I probably didn't play in the technical way to facilitate that. So really it was just an exercise in pretending that my opponent has the worst possible card, which is honestly a good exercise if you're a serious player. Just picture in your mind the thing you were afraid of when you're 99.9% to win. Picture in your mind the thing you will lose to, and figure out if there's any way to beat it without sacrificing anything. So I'm going to keep this hand. It's not great, but it's not going to miss land drops, and it's got plenty of spells to cast. So I'm going to cast my spells. I'm going to get to cast Tribe on turn 2 unless my opponent forces me to play around Condescend or something. And here I have a choice. I can take an Augur and shuffle, or I can just take a random card. The thing I'm trying to hit is Inside Out. So, do I want Augur Bolas? I can't cast Augur on turn 2 because I'm going to want to shuffle with Ash Barrens and Upkeep. So, I'm going to decide against the Augur, but I think it's fairly close. The thing I just don't want to run into is I don't want my opponent to leave up 2 mana counter, some Condescend or Prohibit on turn 2, and then I have to walk my Tribe into it. That sounds not so good. But, you know, maybe my opponent will just play a Prophetic Prism and I don't have to make that decision. Or that. Double map. Okay? So, because I shuffled, I don't have to... I put a stop there so I could cycle those 2 misses away during my upkeep. But I shuffled already, so I don't have to do that. So let's move on to my main phase, just to see an extra card. And then the thing I want to do is to play a Tribe here, because if my opponent then taps out and I draw an Inside Out, then the game's going to be over. So let's do that. I'm going to be careful not to F6, because gut shot is now slightly more realistic. Often I go and try to find a player's previous list if I see them, especially after sideboarding, because with this deck the sideboard cards are so important. But I'm just not at all familiar with this player, so I neglected to do that because I don't think I'm going to benefit very much. So Circular Logic, definitely a good draw. Other things, don't know so much. There's a Shuffle Effect, so having Shuffle Effect plus Brainstorm is definitely good. And Circular Logic, don't want to say no to that either, so I'm just going to keep all of those. None of them do anything particularly quickly, but I don't think I need to be very fast. I think I can afford a little bit of slowness. Tribe, in general, the play pattern is that you want to have exactly 4 lands. So I've got 3 here, 4, 5, and then Evolving Wilds is number 6. So my Brainstorm, if I can actually shuffle both of these away next turn, that will be pretty good. So I'm just going to let my opponent do the thing. I expect they have Moment's Peace, so there's no sense in even digging for an Inside Out. And I also suspect they have Coalition Honor Guard, so I do not want to tap out of Circular Logic. I want to see as many cards as I possibly can on this turn. And then the last thing I do will be to Brainstorm and then shuffle. Well, not the last thing, but I think you know what I mean. So I'll start by looking at my opponent's hand. So, no more lands. So this is going to find a second drawn piece, but they don't have a third one. They have a Hydroblast, which is a very interesting card, given that I don't have any red mana in my deck. It's there entirely to counter Inside Out, and I'm not a fan of that. Fighting on the combo turn is usually pretty hard, so I don't approve of that. Moment's Peace is good because I have to counter it twice. Assuming they have 5 mana. Pyroblast can, counter other stuff, so Pyroblast is a good card. Alchemy, that will probably find them a Tron piece here, actually. They'll probably do that. And then Dinrova, I have to be careful not to get blown out by. Alright, so that's what we're up against. Gonna Brainstorm. Gonna put 2 cards back on top. And just put 2 basic islands on top. And then play an Evolving Wilds. And I'm gonna shuffle them away. I can wait until my opponent's end step, I suppose. And, if my opponent somehow magically casts a Dinrova next turn, I will counter it. Not countering Alchemy, they can do whatever they want with that. I'm going to leave the Alchemy card here because whatever they're finding off the Alchemy is going to be a good card. So I'm going to wait for them to play something that's a high enough quality that it could be the Alchemy card. So they're ditching here Stonehorn Dignitary, Mulldrifter, don't know why they're in the wrong order. Stonehorn Dignitary, Mulldrifter, and Mnemonic Wall. So whatever they have is better than all of those. I can see Stonehorn Dignitary being a good card in situations. Mnemonic Wall is usually like a way to win the game, but it's also bad against Inside Out. So it's not the absolute best. So not too concerned. I'm going to continue to play lands, and I would like to find a Gush at some point. I should have played the Augur before combat, in case my opponent has a Condescend as their wait a minute. They played a Shimmering Grotto. Yeah. Shimmering Grotto was not what they took off of Alchemy. That wouldn't make a lot of sense. Oh, Inside Out. Hello. So, now I have Inside Out plus 3 counterspells. So my opponent better do something powerful here. Especially because some of the things they would want to do, like Hydroblast, they can only be cast in response to the Inside Out. So things like Moment's Peace are much better timing wise, just technically, than Hydroblast, because with the Moment's Peace, they can wait for me to have lethal damage on board and then cast it. But with Hydroblast, they have to cast it earlier, and that means I can use the Circular Logic when I madness it to get toughness to generate lethal damage. So here my opponent is casting Stonehorn Dignitary, so basically they're admitting, I can't win a counter war, I'm just hoping you have no counters. and I have counters, so we win the game. And I could see that being the right play because I haven't really demonstrated that I have a counter. I've only demonstrated that I have lots of lands because I cast Brainstorm and I still hit 5 land drops, and opponent concedes a match. So that was pretty fun. Inside Out, great deck if you're planning on playing against Dinrova Tron, and I will see you in round 2.